Welcome as we pause in this time of reflection. I greet you from the land for which the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people are the first people and traditional custodians, and I pay my respects to their people and their culture. What does success look like? Our society often portrays images and ideas of those considered successful or admirable, and it gives us an ideal of wealth and comfort and success that we should aspire to. As we consider the words of Jesus, though, we discover a very different image of blessing and a very different life to which we are called. In Micah chapter 6, beginning at verse 6, we read, "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." It was many years ago that I first saw a sign at the entrance of a popular nature reserve that said, "Leave nothing but footprints and take nothing but photographs." A number of years later, I would become familiar with the idea of minimal impact bushwalking. The title describes a very similar basic aim. And whilst on a multi-day walk in the wilderness, the ambition of leaving only footprints and taking only photographs might be beyond possibility, the idea of entering a space with respect and gentleness remains. The image of journey to describe the life of faith flows throughout the New Testament from the moment Jesus calls the first disciples to follow. It is an image which continues throughout the Christian tradition. As I ponder the words of the prophet Micah, that we as a people to be a people who do justice, who love kindness, and who walk humbly with God, together with the Beatitudes of Jesus, these ideas of respect and gentleness being features of the journey of faith are similarly brought to mind. And so I'm going to read to you the Beatitudes. We've referred to them a number of times over the posts in the recent weeks, but here they are as they're recounted in the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 5 from the beginning. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." The Micah passage and the Beatitudes are both passages that call the listener to live a life that contrasts sharply to the life lauded by those around. In societies that measure success in terms of wealth, privilege and power, these passages invite us to a different way of being. We've already been told previously in Matthew that the crowds seeking Jesus were not the powerful and the popular, but rather those full of need. They were the common folk of the country, borne down by the hardships of life, by an occupying power, and by corrupt and exploitive leadership. They were anything but those who would be seen and judged as blessed by the standards of prosperity and well-being that were often held as being signs of being blessed within that society. And yet as Jesus sits with his disciples, then he points to these and he names them in their struggle and their needs as the ones who are truly blessed and in whom the kingdom of heaven is found. He then unfolds what is the basis of his teachings as he calls those who would follow him to a life which does not seek to acquire, but which gives of itself. Many of those who answered Jesus' call to follow will have expected that he intended to foment revolution, to create a following that would rise up and bring in change through force. Here at this moment, though, they learn the radical truth and difference of the way Jesus calls them to. For here, God's new society grows from within, like a seed that is planted, an idea that is shared. Here is a society that brings comfort, healing, peace and justice to those struggling, sorrowing and oppressed. A society which welcomes and values all. Here is a society of those who live gently and respectfully, who do justice, who love kindness, who walk humbly with God. And suppose this life of faith we're called to, this journey that we're asked to do as followers of Jesus, is not meant to be a minimal impact journey. Rather, in our faithfully living this life, which is respectful and gentle, this life of doing justice, loving kindness, and walking humbly with God, in doing this, we are called to be part of God's gentle revolution. And a revolution which does not impose, but which invites, nurtures, and shelters, and transforms. Our living this life will not be welcomed by all, because this is a life which challenges systems of power, of exploitation, and of privilege. Jesus warned that opposition will be brought to bear against those who live the way of the kingdom. Those who live this life will indeed be like a light to the nations we have heard of in past weeks, shining forth in a different idea of what blessing looks like to that often promoted by society, shining forth the character of God found in Jesus and inviting others to come and join. So in the midst of all, stay faithful to the journey, doing justice, loving kindness, walking humbly with God as you go. For this is the life to which Jesus calls us. It is the life which offers hope and blessing. Amen.
Travels with us, for we are
pray. God of sojourners and pilgrims, God of those who answer the call of Jesus to seek in all things your just and peaceful reign, grant us grace that our hopes and security are based not in wealth nor power, but in you. May the homes we build be places of welcome and grace. May the paths we tread be the ways of peace, justice and compassion. May the object of our seeking be the well-being of your creation. In all moments grant to us grace and healing for where we have stumbled, vision and wisdom for where we are unsure, and strength and courage for where we are afraid. May our trust ever be in you. May our hearts ever be open to each other and all others, that we may dwell and travel lightly and gently and see your kingdom come. Amen. You are travellers on the road to freedom, followers in the way of Christ. Seek the reign of God in all things and know that God is with you. God's Spirit upholds you and empowers you. And the blessing of God be upon you and with you every moment and every step along the way. Amen.